We break it down, 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 down. She break it down, 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 down. She got a message for the people, a brilliant mind and a clean soul. She's standing up to the evil and making sure that we all grow strong enough to break these chains we in that keep us in this painful condition. She give us truth and division. That's why we listen. She break it down, 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 down.
Yes. Welcome back. You are listening to Lurie Daniel Favors on SiriusXM's Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. I really wanted to start today by joyously talking about what happened at the NAACP Awards. I was so happy to see Michael B. Jordan and Viola Davis and just these amazing Delroy Lindo, just phenomenal Tiana Taylor. It was so good to see the clips that we got a chance to take a look at. I wanted to start with Deon Cole's opening prayer. We ain't got time for that because we got a whole lot to get to, although shout out to Deon Cole because he did a masterful job with that opening prayer. You all will get a chance to hear that in the podcast, which will be out later on today. The podcast, of course, is called Lurie Breaks It Down, and you can find that anywhere you get your podcasts. And for those of you who are listening to this via YouTube, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video. Let's talk about what happened over the weekend. And I'm a little... I don't want to say I'm distraught, but I am certainly grappling with feelings of dismay over what is happening in Iran and the way that we all got here. And so I want to try to slow down just a little bit today and talk about what it means now that we're here, the decisions that were made that brought us here, and the fact that all of this has a lot more to do with y'all's white, incompetent, and entitled president being jealous of President Barack Obama for being a black man. I think probably because he thinks he's got a larger penis. But we're not going to get into that right now. Just know Francis Cresswell would like a word. Let's talk about the why questions, because Americans often struggle with the why questions, particularly when it comes to war. And frankly, that shouldn't be surprising, because any group of people who are so ashamed of their history that they will hide from it because of the cognitive dissonance that history causes them, they're not only destined to repeat that history that they choose to be ignorant of, but that ignorance also means that they do not get an opportunity to understand questions like why. They don't get to sit in a space of understanding how we got here. And that's problematic because, frankly, if you don't understand how you got to a place, it's really hard for you to figure out whether or not the place you got is a healthy place for you to be. It's hard for you to figure out if you had something to do with why you're here in this situation. And so I want y'all to take a listen to this video clip. Now, you're not going to get a chance to see this. I know YouTube, you guys are used to seeing the videos. I want you to take a listen. This is Joyanne Reed, who is talking about why it is that America is in the space of invading Iran in the first place. And she's here on CNN. This is when she was appearing on Abby Phillips' show, and she's talking with people who were, this was in the last time that America decided to bomb Iran. And she was talking about why it was that we need to do better at asking the questions as to how we got here in the first place. Let's take a listen to Joyanne Reed as she explains all of this, and then we'll unpack it on the other side. Listening ears on.
I am thrilled that the United States is trying to police the proliferation of nuclear weapons. Imagine what the world would look like if it was otherwise. And I think that to say away the United States would still be the only country that has ever bombed another country with nuclear weapons. And let me ask you one question. Why did the Iran hostage crisis take place? So certainly, I'm asking you
fundamentalist radicals took over the government who hate the West.
Why did they take over the government? Why?
Because they're religious jihadis who want to eliminate Western society.
They hate our way of life. They hate our way of life.
Or they overthrew the Shah of Iran, who we imposed on Iran because the Dulles brothers, one at the CIA and one at the State Department, decided that the oil beneath the soil of Iran belonged to BP and belonged to us. And when Mossadegh, who was the leader of Iran, the democratically elected leader of Iran, said that we would like to audit BP because we want to know if you are cheating us or paying the people of Iran based on the oil under their soil. And they said, you may not audit us. And then we overthrew him, and he wound up dying in prison because we decided that we, in our arrogance as a country, got to own their oil. And wait a minute, no, one moment. And so the hatred of the United States had to do with the hatred of the Shah, who brutally repressed the people of Iran. Iran for 26 years until he was overthrown within Iran because he was not their natural king. They didn't want a king any more than we wanted a king. The bottom line is the arrogance of the United States' foreign policy. We act as if people act in a vacuum, and that nothing we do has ever led to the hatred of us in other countries. And I'm not saying that hostages should be taken, but you just said because they hate our freedoms.
Isn't it funny how when you can answer the question why, you can show how stupid people are? Because those were experts on the panel with her, and I was able to pull up the video at the latter half, so y'all did get a chance to see a little bit of it. Those were experts, quote unquote experts, on the panel with her. And isn't it interesting how when you unpack the why that the folks in Iran would feel the way that they do with America, it's because of the oil that America tried to previously grab. And when Iranians said, wait a minute, we're going to evaluate whether or not you're cheating us, America did then what they're doing now, what the West is doing to a whole host of African nations. They decided to bomb them. And so when you ask the questions why, it's important for us to really look historically at what was happening that led us to this point. I also just want to say when it comes to Iran and black people, because sometimes, we be like, well, what's this got to do with us other than the fact that we are in a nation that might now be the subject of retaliation because of what just happened. It's also important to know that when that incident that Joanne Reed is talking about there, when she's talking about the hostages that were taken, the American hostages, just know that the Iranis let the black American hostages go first because they were in solidarity with black people. And so there's this wonderful article that I encourage you all to take a look at. It's called Even They Might Rise, The Islamic Republic of Iran's Solidarity with African Americans by Benjamin R. Young. You can get that in the Journal of African American History, volume 109, number 4. And the abstract for the article reads as follows. During the 1979 Iran hostage crisis, Ayatollah Khomeini decided to release the African American hostages. That would be the blacks. Decided to release the blacks first as a demonstration of solidarity with the world's oppressed peoples. Revolutionary Iran's proclamation that it would support the world's marginalized and disenfranchised peoples resonated with many leftist African-American political activists and figures. From holding solidarity marches to commemorating Malcolm X on national postage stamps, the Islamic Republic of Iran was resolute in its expression of solidarity with African Americans. The third worldist revolutionary rhetoric and anti-imperialist statements of Khomeini linked Tehran to the marginalized communities, black communities of America. Based primarily on Iranian media sources and African-American news articles, this article, talking about the one in question, investigates the unique relationship forged between the Islamic Republic of Iran and the radical circles of African Americans. I'm just saying, you got to know why. We got to ask deeper questions. Now, it would be interesting. What's happening right now over the weekend would make a lot more sense had what Obama done not had happened, right? And so it's very important because the last time that the Americans invaded Iran, I had to remind all of us that President Barack Obama had already did this. He had already addressed this. He had already created and successfully negotiated an agreement with the Iranians called the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, the JCPOA. And back in January 16th of 2016, 10 years ago, the International Atomic Energy Agency, and this is according to the Obama White House archives, and Jonah, please let's make sure that we tweet this out so people can see it. I will drop this in the Zoom chat so the folks can look it out. I know we're not tweeting, whatever it is that we're doing and using in terms of our social media, whatever it is that we're doing there, put this out on those spaces and please drop it in the live as well. But according to that report, what they said was basically that the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, verified that Iran has completed the necessary steps under the Iran deal that would ensure Iran's nuclear program is and remains exclusively peaceful back in 2016. So when Donald Trump and Pete, his own mama, said he's a fucking dick, when Peter's Obama said he's trash Hegseth, say that the Iranians getting access to a nuclear weapon is what's driving the Americans' decisions. That's so crazy because President Barack Obama, the black one had already negotiated a deal where the Iranians agreed to not pursue weaponry with their nuclear program. According to the report, quote, before this agreement, Iran's breakout time, or the time it would have taken for Iran to gather enough material to build a weapon, was only 2 to 3 months. We're going to put an asterisk by that as well because we constantly seem to be in a state for the past 30 years. Iran been 2 to 3 months away from getting a nuclear weapon. 2 to 3 months, says Benjamin Netanyahu. 2 to 3 months, say the Americans. They ain't did it yet. But before this agreement, Their breakout time was 2 to 3 months. Today, because of the Iran deal that President Barack Hussein Obama, the black one, negotiated with the Iranians, it would take them 12 months or more. And they said with the unprecedented monitoring and access that this deal puts in place, if Iran tries, we will know and sanctions will snap back into place. So they had a deal. They had enforcement mechanisms. They had the capacity to reassert sanctions to keep Iran in space. According to the report, they go on to talk about the things that Iran had done to demonstrate good faith. We know that they had demonstrated good faith because y'all's current director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, also known as Cruella de Witch, she had already said a couple months ago that they had destroyed Iran's capacity. When y'all's big ass president bombed Iran back in October and the end of summer, beginning of fall of last year, they said they obliterated the nuclear plant. So what's happening? Did you obliterate it or did you not obliterate it? Were they going to go as it pertains to developing nuclear weapons, or were they not? And you can't tell us that they were not only going to develop nuclear weapons, but that they were also going to attack the Americans, because the Pentagon has something to say. Now, according to the Pentagon in Reuters is reported, and a number of other outlets has said to Congress, nah, man, they wasn't finna attack the U.S. I mean, I don't know what they was finna do, but attacking the U.S. wasn't it. According to the according to Reuters, quote, Trump administration officials acknowledged in closed-door briefings with congressional staff on Sunday that there was no intelligence suggesting Iran planned to attack U.S. forces first. So the Pentagon said, nah, man, that ain't it. They wasn't really finna attack us. I don't really know why we over there. And yet we had a deal that President Barack Obama already had in place. What could possibly have happened? Oh, that's right. Y'all's president is jealous of the black man for a whole host of reasons, namely because his is bigger than yours. And by that, I mean policy, of course. Because according to the report, when President Barack Obama got the deal and then y'all elected, what's that man's name, Donald Trump, to replace President Barack Obama, according to reporters like Seth Abramson, quote, I wonder how many people realize that America is now at war, literally at war, solely because Donald Trump hates black people. Obama signed the Iran nuclear deal. Iran then stopped enrichment. Donald Trump ended the deal to spite Obama. He was told enrichment would restart. It did. This is Donald Trump's war. So is it penis envy? Is it jealousy? What is it? Because his is bigger than yours. And that, of course, we do mean policy. Again, policy. And as I said, we always seem to be at a point where Iran is going to get nuclear weapons in like 15 minutes. I want you all to take a listen. This is Don Lemon, where he is the last time that the Americans decided to bomb Iran, which was just last year. Don Lemon reminds us that it seems like we're always in a position where Benjamin Netanyahu is telling the Americans, we need you to invade Iran because they're going to get a nuclear warhead. Now, it would be really interesting if this did not have real life repercussions, but because the first set of casualties were a bunch of little girls in Iranian schools that had their lives ended, I feel like we should be paying a little bit more attention to what's going on here. So I want y'all to take a listen to this clip. This is Don Lemon, who is basically saying the quiet part out loud. And I'm glad that he's saying it. Y'all are going to get a chance to hear this. Amina, let's go ahead and play it while I pull up the clip. We just don't have time for me to pull the video. So let's go ahead and hear Don Lemon as he reminds us that apparently bombing Iran because they're about to get nuclear weapons is like another day ending in Y for the Israelis. Let's take a listen.
I'm not calling Benjamin Netanyahu a liar, but if you've been saying something for 20, 30 years and it hasn't come to fruition, does that mean that you're lying about it? You tell me. Watch this.
If not stopped, Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year. It could be within a few months.
They have the wherewithal, the stored up, preserved knowledge to make a bomb very quickly if they wanted to do it.
Iran is so dangerous. Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the enriched uranium for an atom bomb.
Iran is gearing up to produce 25 bombs, atomic bombs a year, 250 bombs in a decade.
Ladies and gentlemen, time is running out.
Iran will be capable of producing alone, without importing anything, nuclear bombs within 3 to 5 years.
Are American leaders listening to this? Is Donald Trump listening to this? And the big question is, are we being played by Benjamin Netanyahu?
Yes, Don Lemon. We are being played by Benjamin Netanyahu. And not we, the white Americans, the European Americans, because the black people, we ain't got nothing to do with this. This ain't our... Listen, Iran, hey, man, there's some things that's above our pay grade and beyond our capacity, and this is one of them. All right, we just talked about how y'all had a different relationship with the blacks. We recognize that it's a lot going on. I'm just saying we ain't got nothing to do with this. We would rather this not have happened, but they be stealing elections from us, dog. It's not a whole lot that we can do here. So I'm just saying, just please remember that when y'all figure out whatever it is that y'all gonna do, because now that these are things above our pay grade, they're just above our pay grade. But it really does matter, because once again, we are seeing the devastation as it makes its way, as the news of the devastation makes its way around the world. We are now in a position where y'all know how I got that one person in my family who I told y'all was a MAGA supporter, voted for MAGA, military person, went to HBCU, like is a person who I love dearly, but is just fully black MAGA, fully black MAGA. And this person had the nerve to tell me over the weekend, I would vote for that man again if he's going to keep America safe. And I said, keep America safe from what? And never got an answer to that, because that's just the way propaganda works. They don't have any substantive thoughts. They don't ask why. They just talk. Take a listen to Qasim Rashid as he explains to us why this is so problematic, considering the fallout that we're already witnessing. Take a listen.
To Zionists and MAGAs cheering on this illegal attack on Iran, I just want you to remember two things. One, Trump already said that he expects that U.S. service members will die in this war. And two, Netanyahu's son, Yair Netanyahu, and Trump's son, Barron Trump, are sitting on a beach drinking beer somewhere. When Trump says that soldiers will die, he's talking about your children. He's tricked you into sending your children to die in a war he launched so he and Netanyahu can stay out of prison for their corruption. All because of your obsession with Donald Trump. You are literally excusing him from the horrors he committed to children in the Epstein files, and now you are sending your own children to suffer their horrors for his war. This is why we say you're in a cult. It's not too late. You can stop supporting the sociopath and come back to reality. I promise you, we will welcome you back to reality.
Qasim Rashid has a lot more faith in Americans than I do. Qasim says it's not too late to come back. Qasim is a lot more generous than I, because I think it's a little too late. It's a little too late. But why this really matters, once again, is because the first casualties of this war were school children. Little girls, to be specific. And considering this is a war started by the Epstein class to basically avoid discoveries about Epstein, the fact that it was little girls who were the first ones suffering and dying as a result of this, absolutely tragic. Absolutely tragic. The Christian A. Smith, who's someone who we've shared a number of his videos and commentary on this show before, a dope brother doing a lot of things to help challenge our understanding of white Christian nationalism. He says yesterday in an Instagram post, the United States bombed a girls' school in Iran. Dozens of schoolgirls are dead. And by dozens, we mean 150 some odd school children are dead. And he says not targets, not enemy combatants, children in a classroom learning. He says, we've been conditioned to hear Iran and automatically process enemy. That conditioning is working right now. That's not an accident. That's a design. Dehumanization, he says, is a prerequisite for destruction. You can't get people to accept the bombing of children without first getting them to stop seeing those children as children. So let's make it plain, he says. If another country decided that our government was dangerous, which it is, and they dropped bombs on an elementary school in Southwest Atlanta, and we can go beyond Atlanta, right? He says Southwest Atlanta. We could say Central Missouri, Kansas, Kentucky, any school anywhere in MAGA land. What would we call it? He asks. He says we would call it a war crime, an act of terror, an attack on the innocent. He says we, talking about the Americans, did that yesterday to someone else's children. We, again, the Americans, are not the good guys. That's not anti-American. That's just honest. And the reality is we are now in a situation where the fallout is going to go beyond lives lost, and we can now think about what the fallout looks like for the economy. One of the first things I did when I found out that this was happening is I went and we got gas in the cars to fill up the gas tanks, because gas is going to explode in terms of pricing. Now, I've seen a number of numbnuts who have said, we don't have to worry about oil increasing in price. They're just going to increase the amount of oil in the region. It's going to be fine. Yeah, how you going to get it? How you going to get it when 20% of the world's oil has to pass through a piece of land, a piece of territory? It's not land. It's land that is surrounded or divided by water. It's called the Strait of Hormuz. Now, the Strait of Hormuz is where 20% of the world's oil passes through. And guess who happens to control the Strait of Hormuz? That would be the Iranians. Oh my God. Take a listen to this video. This is a sister by the name of Goddess Mia. Every time I've seen her talk about international affairs, she makes a lot of good sense. And we're going to unpack what she talks about here on the other side of this clip. Amina, let's get that clip and then let's take a listen. Oh no, the clip is frozen. Oh my God. Okay. All right, so the clip is frozen. Hold on, let me stop it here. I'm just going to tell you what she basically says. The Strait of Hormuz, and she does it so much better than I do because she's very dramatic, and I love her voice. It's like this deep, raspy voice. She's amazing. Goddess Mia 20_ is her name. But she basically talks about this strip of land known as the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is a strip of, it's not land. I keep saying land. I meant to say water that is got land on either side of it. And on one side of it is Iran. On the other side of it are other nations like the UAE, the Kingdom of Oman, other nations, oil-rich nations. In order to get past the Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of the world's oil has to navigate, because there are there are 8 or so nations in that space that use that strait primarily for their oil transports. But those aren't the only countries that use it, and that's not the only product that goes through there. But Iran has basically put out the word that said the strait is closed. Ain't nobody else going to be going through there. Now, there are some questions as to whether or not they have officially closed off the strait, but functionally, what we know is that no ships are trying to pass through there, because in response to what Iran experienced when the Americans unleashed terror on them over the weekend, they decided to fight back. And they fought back by bombing other nearby nations, not the nations themselves, but nearby nations that are housing American military bases. And so we've got American military bases all throughout the region that are taking on fire. Now, Amina, do we have the capacity for any of those clips as well, or is the whole thing frozen? Okay, the wall's reloaded. We might be able to hear some of these clips again, and I want y'all to hear them because the people who are talking about this are saying it way better than I am. I'm just giving you my shorter version of it. But what's important for us to know right now is that there are now additional nations that have been brought into this war simply because of the way the Americans have tried to move. So we have the clip ready for the Strait of Hormuz. I'm going to go back. Amina, let's go ahead and play it. I'll get the video up because this is very important that people are aware as to what's going to be happening economically with this war. Let's take a listen.
Oh my goodness. Iran closes the Strait of Hormuz. 20% of Earth's oil flows through the Strait of Hormuz. One of the major global maritime passageways for oil transport, the Strait of Hormuz, has been closed according to multiple reports. The Strait of Hormuz, which connects the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman, has reportedly been receiving VHF transmissions from the Iranian Revolutionary Guard instructing that no one is allowed to pass through the strait. Listen to this video, and I'll be right back.
Attention all ships, attention all ships, attention all ships. This is Sepah Navy, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy. From now on, all navigating through the Strait of Hormuz is forbidden. No ship in every type is not allowed to pass from the Strait of Hormuz till next notice. This is Sepah Navy, out.
Oh my goodness. The reports came as the U.S. Department of Transportation Maritime Administration has issued an alert to vessels in the region, urging them to keep clear of this area if possible, citing significant military activity. See, Iran attacked all the military bases in that region so that there isn't a rapid response when they stop ships right here. This little passageway right here, I think it's about 24 miles. They are holding the global economy hostage. A closure of the Strait of Hormuz, which handles roughly 20 million barrels of oil daily, 1/5 of global consumption, would cause immediate severe shocks, with oil prices potentially surging to over $200 per barrel. A prolonged disruption would likely trigger a global recession, sky-high inflation, and massive energy market volatility. Oh, my God. So remember, he said he was going to lower grocery prices for people, and that didn't happen. We are still paying top dollar at the grocery stores. Now y'all was holding on to them gas prices. Oh, well, at least gas is lower. This is going to skyrocket gas. This is going to skyrocket products as well, because what do you need to get these things delivered to stores so that you can buy them? Gas. Oh, you dumb motherfuckers had to touch the goddamn stove. Iran is playing chess while the orange buffoon is playing tic-tac-toe. Did they not think of this shit when they... Who are the military strategists on that motherfucker's team? They didn't think about this shit? There's a reason why we never attacked Iran. There was. And now Israel talking about Turkey's the new Iran. My goodness, man.
Here I warn. Turkey is the new Iran.
Oh my God, you guys had to touch the motherfucking stove. Huh? Are we great? Are we great? Oh my God. Well, y'all voted for this shit. The rest of us, we have to suffer, but y'all voted for this shit. Well, welcome to America. And the whole world is going to suffer. Well, basically the West is going to suffer because of this orange buffoon. I wonder when the West is actually going to put their foot down and say, America, stop your bullshit. I wonder.
I wonder too. I wonder too, and I just don't know. But what I do know is that Americans have not yet figured out how to even have this conversation. Ann Applebaum, in a clip we're not going to be able to play today, but in an article in The Atlantic, and she talks a bit about this in this clip that you'll hear in the podcast episode, she basically says the American bombardment of Iran was launched without a real plan for the Iranian people. She says there's no tools to communicate with the Iranians, either those who are currently in leadership or those that the Americans want to be in leadership. She says there are no tools to help build a legitimate state as determined by them. They're talking about the fact that they were able to kill the supreme leader. Meanwhile, the supreme leader wasn't the only person in the institution known as the leadership of Iran. They just put the next people in line who were very much a part of the very same regime back into position. And you've got Americans who are essentially so confounded about what's happening and so unable to have an intellectually driven or fact-based conversation about what's happening, that you've got these geniuses that you're going to get a chance to hear from asking why it is that the Iranians are fighting back. Now, you heard there in that clip talking about the Strait of Hormuz that the Iranians, once they began getting attacked, they began responding and retaliating by aiming their firepower at the American military installations in nearby Arabian countries or countries within the Middle East. And on this news clip, where NBC News anchors, who I think are cosplaying as people who have some level of intelligence that qualifies them to have this conversation, decided to ask one of the representatives of the Iranian military or the Iranian government why it was that the Iranians were fighting back as against these portions of the American military apparatus. With a straight face, they asked this question, and I want you to hear the response, because this is what is supposed to pass for intelligence in international circles. Let's take a listen.
So for clarity, you said that your missiles cannot reach the United States by design, that you do not want to reach the United States, but you also said it would be necessary as a defensive vehicle that you could if necessary. So to be clear, are you committing that Iran is not and will not build missiles that would have the capability to reach the United States?
I can confirm, yes.
Sir, if that's a red line for you, why is attacking U.S. military bases abroad justified?
But because they are attacking us. They are U.S. military, installations, facilities, bases who are attacking us. We are under attack. Why don't you, recognize this fact? We are under the attack by U.S. forces in the region. So we have every right to defend ourselves. And how to defend ourselves? We attacked, the U.S. bases. This is obvious. This is a very simple fact. And I hope that, and I'm sure that people would understand that. We are not the one who attacked Americans. We are only defending ourselves.
Ciao. It's embarrassing that this is the nation that we live in. But that wasn't the only moment where Americans were being taken to task in the media when it comes to how they are responding or what it is that they're doing. And when you consider that, when you talk with people who, if you have friends who are outside of this country, living outside of the country, ask them what the media coverage sounds like, how the war is being described over there. Think about what the rest of the world is being told about Americans after having already disgraced the nation by voting for that man not once but twice. Think about what the rest of the world is being told about the utter acts of savagery and brutality from the Americans who started a war with no clear objectives, no clear understanding as to what is supposed to be gained from the war, no clear indicators as to how you will know when you've achieved victory. I want you all to take a listen to this clip. This is the last clip we'll play. We might have to pull it because we may not be able to get all of it in here because of just time constraints. But I want you all to take a listen to how the rest of the world is being told this, to think about this right now. Because when you start a war as part of the Epstein class, and your war is designed to stop people from finding out more about Epstein, wherein you are credibly accused of violating little girls, and the first people that you end up killing are a bunch of little girls in school, it doesn't track well. Amina, let's hear that clip.
Where do you see this going? Is there an off-ramp for Iran?
I think what will happen is that even if the United States is able to kill illegally Iranian leaders, the next generation of Iranians, the Iranians that did not see American atrocities in Iran before 1979, some Iranians that did not understand why their parents and grandparents were anti-American, those Iranians will take over. Now they understand why American government is an imperialist, vicious government, and a government that attacks other countries and kills little children. they understand they're fighting the Epstein class that either rape little girls or bomb little girls. This is the government that we are witnessing. We are going to fight back against that government, and they're going to ensure that the Islamic Republic of Iran will live many years after America destroys itself.
So this is where we're at. 866-801-8255, 866-801-TALK is the number. This is why we're at war. This is at least what's being told around the world as to what's happening. And when you've got people like George Conway who are looking at what Donald Trump says, Donald Trump told Jonathan Karl, quote, the attack was so successful, it knocked out most of the candidates. It's not going to be anybody that we were thinking of because they're all dead, meaning the person they wanted to be replacing the supreme leader that they just assassinated, that person also died. So they killed so many people. They don't know who's going to be in charge next. God help us all as